It's time for
DodgerHeads. What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Bruce Kuntz, Blake Williams, here to break down a pretty devastating Game 1 loss for the Dodgers in the World Series, where they get absolutely smoked by the Blue Jays, 11-4. The final score in this one, they go down 1-0 in the World Series, breaking a 5-game winning streak for the Dodgers. Lots to get into, lots of super chats. Let's start by saying thank you to everybody that's hopping in live with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We appreciate you. Those listening after the fact via podcast, Apple, Spotify, and Google. I admire your willingness to relive this game and listen to people talk about it after the fact, because this is one most Dodger fans are going to want to forget. Bruce, let's start with you. Immediate reactions as the Dodgers fall in Game 1.
Yeah, so this was a pretty bad game. This is kind of what I was afraid of. I talked about it yesterday with Matt on the Thursday show about the Dodgers starting pitching has been so good this postseason that it's obviously the biggest strength of this team. But there was one time so far this postseason before today where the starter did not get through 6, and it wasn't a really good outing from the starter. And then you have to wonder what the bullpen is going to be able to bring when that day comes and you have a bad start. Now it's 2 games in this postseason that the Dodgers have not gotten 6 good innings from their starter, and that's 2 losses. And this one obviously was even more than just a loss. It was a blowout.
Yeah. 6th inning dooms them, Blake, in this one. Blake Snell, who's been fantastic for the Dodgers, 3-0 with an ERA under 1 coming into this one, just wasn't sharp tonight.
Yeah, we can't expect the pitching to be perfect every single game this postseason, which they have mostly been. And at some point, you're going to need the offense to contribute. That hasn't really happened yet at all. The pitching has really been the strength that carried them throughout this entire postseason. And the lack of hitting has been a concern for them. So on a night where they're not hitting too much and the pitching isn't as sharp as it has been, you're going to get these kind of results. And the good news is it's only one game, as a lot of people are saying. And I think you've pointed out on Twitter. So it's not the end of the series or anything like that, but it certainly wasn't encouraging or inspiring in any way.
Yeah, Blake Snell, 5 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Of course, 3 of those runs were guys that he left on base. And then Emmett Sheehan allowed to score. Emmett Sheehan, a third of an inning, 2 hits, a walk, 3 earned runs for him. Anthony Bonda, 2/3 of an inning, 3 hits, 3 earned runs for him as well. So in that 6th inning, absolute disaster for the Dodgers. 8 base runners, all of them basically come around to score, I believe, or 9 of them come, 9 base runners, and all of them come around to score for the Blue Jays in that inning. So to your point, Blake, like we can talk offense because the offense wasn't good enough tonight. I think Joseph with the super chat, is it possible to blame the offense when the pitching gives up 11 runs? Should have been up big after 3, but let them hang around. Also, it might be time to bench Pages. Guys won't walk if his life depended on it. I hear, Blake, all of the complaints about the Dodgers offense, and I think they are fair and they are valid. However, when the other team scores 11 runs, it's hard to pick tonight of all nights to be mad at the offense.
I agree with that. I also think if the Dodgers offense came through the multiple times they had earlier in the game, we might be talking about this game a bit differently. Maybe they make Dave makes different decisions managing, and the Blue Jays are maybe a little defeated from it. I think scoring early can kind of put the team up more, so that helps them moving forward in a way that it's a lot different when you're battling in a 2-2 game. And if something goes wrong, then it feels like the sky is falling, or if you have the lead, then you're up already and you can make a mistake here or there and it's not going to be as costly. So it's hard to not put any blame on the offense tonight because they were still bad and they didn't execute early in the game. But also it was just an all-around poor game by the Dodgers. I think you can complain about each part and be picky about it.
Yeah. And the irony to me, Bruce, is they actually had 3 hits with runners in scoring position in the first 3 innings. I know they left runs out there, but they finished this game 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position, which is ironically much better than it has been for the last couple of weeks.
Right, and I agree with Blake that I think the offense deserves some blame in this. Only scoring 2 runs for the through those first 3 innings. They left the bases loaded in the second, left another man in scoring position in the third, and in that third inning, Freddie Freeman ran into an ugly out on the bases in what felt like it was a blossoming big rally. Got held to 1 run partially because of that. So I think the offense deserves some blame, but my big takeaway from tonight is this bullpen is just as bad as it's felt like that they are. And I said it yesterday, like you can't statistically expect your starting pitching to go out and be as good as they have been so far this postseason. You can hope for better outings than you got from Blake Snell tonight, but when you have an outing like this, it can't be that you have 0 chance to win and you're going to get blown out because right now it feels like with this bullpen, if the starter doesn't go at least 6 and the offense doesn't give you a big cushion, then you're just not going to win. And that's not a way to succeed in October.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that. I know we got a bunch of super chats, and I want to get to those, but I do want to talk about kind of the key moment of the game, which was that 6th inning. Blake Snell, up until that point, let's see, he had allowed 7 hits and 2 walks through 5 innings prior to the bottom of the 6th inning. They leave him out there. That inning begins with a walk and then a single to lead off the inning. Then he gets Dalton Varsho 0-2 and ends up with the hit by pitch. They go to Emmett Sheehan. Blake, I'll start with you. Walk me through the decision-making and your evaluation of it from Dave Roberts there. Again, he has struggled in this game. They bring him back out for the 6th. Let's just take this moment by moment. Bringing him back out for the 6th, was there any doubt in your mind at the time that that was the right thing to do?
No, after that 5th inning, it looked like he'd be able to get through the 6th, so I was fine with that. I would have liked someone to be warm at that moment, though, as soon as he's back on the mound.
Yeah. The bottom of the 5th, for what it's worth, was single, ground out with the double play in the middle of there. Then we go walk, single to lead off the inning, then a hit by pitch. So, Bruce, I'm going to ask you these same questions in a moment. But, Blake, for you, at that point, he had gotten a 1-2-3 inning, albeit single double play in the inning before. We know how bad the Dodgers bullpen is. To me, this is where it's interesting because I know hindsight is like, oh my gosh, how do you not go to the bullpen sooner? Which is an ironic thing to say when the next 2 guys come in and give up 1 million base runners and 1 million runs. But like in real time, did you feel like the bullpen with a runner on first and then a runner on second was a better option than the Blake Snell that was standing on the mound?
I think it was kind of a coin flip there. After that single, I would have went to get him. I would have given him the walk, the next batter after the walk, just because we know how bad the Dodgers bullpen has been. And now without Alex Vesey on the team, it's taken another hit. So you don't have a lot of trusted guys in there. So if you're talking like 60 to 70% effectiveness of Blake Snell versus 100% effectiveness from any member of the bullpen right now, like I think it's a lot closer to a coin flip than just having an obvious answer there. So I stick with him after the walk. Then he gives up the single, and I would have taken him out there.
Okay, Bruce, what's your evaluation of that decision-making? Coming back out for the 6th, a walk leaves him in, single leaves him in, then the hit by pitch to Varsho, who is a lefty.
Yeah, I don't think there was any doubt of leaving Snell in for either of them. He had 84 pitches after the 5th, and we're in this conversation talking about how bad the bullpen is and how the Dodgers have been asking their starters to get through at least 6. You know, you hope for 7, you hope for 8, you hope for 9. That's how bad this bullpen is. So when Blake Snell's at 84 pitches, regardless of the fact that this absolutely was not his best stuff and mostly best command tonight, you can't even think about taking him out there. And then when Varsho's coming up, a left on left situation, you can't go to the bullpen there either. You have to just ride with your guy. And Varsho had a great at bat. I think that this started to unravel. I hated the first pitch fastball call in Varsho's second at bat, the one that he hit out. I thought that was a obviously poorly executed pitch, but I wouldn't have thrown first pitch fastball there anyway. But getting back to, I think you have to leave him in for Varsho and just hope for a better result. That result didn't come, and then you have to go to the bullpen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand what Blake is saying. Like, I think after the first 2 batters kind of in a vacuum, it makes sense to me. But with a lefty coming up in that spot, Blake, to your point, you said coin flip, which I think is about right. It might be 55-45, trust Snell. And the reason I say trust Snell is not because Snell has looked good. It's not because he was dominant tonight. It's because we're about to talk about who they brought in next. And I have all these people in my mentions, Bruce, telling me I can't believe they went to Emmett Sheehan. And I am completely baffled at who they wanted in that spot, because if it's not Roki Sasaki, Emmett Sheehan is the best guy they have in the bullpen. Otherwise, like, none of these people wanted Blake Treinen. You're not going to go to lefties there. The rest of these guys, like Will Klein, with all due respect, like, wasn't even on the roster last round. So I'm not saying Sheehan's good. I'm not defending how, like, his performance tonight. I'm just saying at the time, I don't know who the better decision is.
The Dodgers are doing everything based off of a lack of bullpen options. That's been how this entire postseason has been managed. Dave Roberts has been way more aggressive in leaving starters in longer. This has been a reverse modern baseball kind of postseason in terms of management, because the Dodgers have a great starting rotation and the bullpen is terrible. And like you said, if it's not Emmett Sheehan there, who else would it be? Because like you said, Blake Treinen, no way. Edgardo Enriquez and Will Klein were not even on the championship series roster. There is not another option. Emmett Sheehan was a good starter through the whole season. He has not been good out of the bullpen in the playoffs. He was terrible tonight, but you have to, if you're going to critique that decision to bring him in there, then you have to go to the table with somebody else that would have been better. And I don't think there is in the moment. There wasn't a better option than Sheehan in that spot.
Blake, what was your evaluation of the decision to go with Sheehan there? It was righty, lefty, do up in the 7-8, Clement, Straw, and Jimenez there.
Yeah, so for me, about the lefty decision, going back to that, not taking Snell out there, I get that part of it. Like, you want to let Snell face the lefty. I just thought, like, he looked done at that point for me, so I'd rather get the fresh arm in there than have the lefty matchup.
Would you have gone lefty then? Like, are you bringing Bonda into that spot to face one lefty and then two righties?
No, not in that spot there. I just think you kind of live with the righty matchup there to get the fresh arm, because Snell looked done at that point. I think I probably would have wanted Treinen in that situation, which is probably crazy to say, but he has tended to get lefties out fairly effectively throughout his career, and he's a ground ball pitcher. So if you're looking for a double play in that situation there, I trust that more than Emmett Sheehan, who's a fly ball pitcher. So I just thought the matchups made more sense there. But at the same time, like, Emmett Sheehan is also a guy that we expected to be a leverage arm in this bullpen, and he needs to get the job done as well. He was not effective in even the slightest bit, so that's on him there. You can't really blame Dave for that. Like, we all had high hopes for Sheehan. It just hasn't come through, but I think in that situation, I would have wanted Treinen just for the ground ball option, who has limited lefties fairly well, and he has the cutter to work in on the lefties. He's got the sinker to get the righties out there, so that probably would have been my option there. But again, like, no option is great, and that needs to be stressed right now. We're talking about, like, a bad pitcher versus a bad pitcher coming in type thing, so, or a gassed pitcher. So I just don't really know, like, what the alternative is. We can talk about this forever and debate it, but the end results are probably still going to be pretty similar regardless, if we're being honest.
Yeah. And look, I'm with you. I've been the guy on this show that is like, Treinen's kind of a guy that I don't hate. And to your point, like, maybe he can go get you some swing and miss. Maybe he can, like, get the ground ball somewhere in there and you get 2 outs and give up a run. You at least wouldn't have been worried about, like, the moment being too big for Blake Treinen, which I think is a reasonable concern for Emmett Sheehan. You wouldn't have been concerned about, oh, it's not a clean inning with Sheehan. But, like, Bruce, I just keep coming back to, if they had gone to Blake Treinen in that spot and Blake Treinen did what Emmett Sheehan did, holy crap, would this thing be on fire right now with Dave Roberts? Because people hate that guy. And I'm with Blake. I think he's the only other name you can mention in this conversation as reasonable to include.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable, but like Blake just said, it's a rock and a hard place. There's no good option there, and this entire conversation has to be approached with that being acknowledged. That I think you can somewhat confidently say Blake Treinen probably wouldn't have gone out and been as bad as Emmett Sheehan, but there was no reason to think Emmett Sheehan was going to be that bad. So there wasn't a good option. I think that we're feeling already there already was a lack of options in the Dodger bullpen. And now, obviously, this isn't the priority for his situation, but not having Alex Vesia in the bullpen has sort of a chain reaction of there just isn't any, big spot late inning guy that you can just go in and put out a fire or put your full trust in to rise to a spot. This bullpen just looks really bad right now. Even Roki Sasaki had his fastball down in the last series, and he's the best guy without a doubt. But I still wouldn't even put, like, all the chips there. I think this bullpen is just impossible to trust at this point.
Yeah.
My issue with it is, like, Dave Roberts has been trusting Blake Treinen in every situation, high leverage, regardless, like throughout the entire postseason, going back to the regular season. And he hasn't used Emmett Sheehan in any of those high leverage spots. So why do you shy away from going to Treinen now in the highest leverage moment of your entire season up to this point and go to the guy you haven't trusted before in that spot, that you haven't seen him go out there and do it? Like, Treinen has been the guy they've been trying to get to this point and using and trying to get him right. And he's finally shown a little bit of like ability to come back from his regular season struggles. Like, there's some signs of life there. So like, in that spot, why are you not going to the guy you've been trusting the entire time? And if you don't trust him, then why were you using him in all those big moments before? Like, that logic just doesn't make sense to me there. And aside from that, Emmett Sheehan hasn't pitched in weeks in a major league game at this point. Like, I don't understand that aspect of it. Just
yeah,
nothing.
the only thing I can come up with is they haven't asked Blake Treinen to go get 3 outs for them in a really long time. In the postseason, I believe it's just twice in 7 appearances where they've asked him to get 3 outs. A third of an inning, 2/3 of an inning, and a third of the inning were the 3 times that he was used. But I'm with you. It's not like I'm worried about his arm falling off if he has to go out there and throw 22 pitches or something like that. So I think it's a totally fair question that you're asking there, Blake. One other thing I want to mention that's kind of a key to the game, and again, we're going to get to super chats here in just a second, is in those key at-bats, namely the grand slam, or excuse me, the hit by pitch that Varsho had. It just magnified what I think is going to be the absolute critical piece of this series, which is, can the Dodgers starting pitchers get swing and miss? And the answer tonight was definitively no. Through the first 7 innings, I charted this out. The Blue Jays faced a 2-strike count. They faced a pitch with 2 strikes 46 times through 7 innings, 46 times. They swung and missed 3 times, and they watched a strike once. 4 out of 46 2-strike pitches ended in a strikeout. There were more walks with 2 strikes than there were strikeouts with 2 strikes for the Blue Jays. They fouled the ball off 17 times. They took a ball 5 times, walked 5 times. They grounded out or popped out 5 times. They got 4 hits, and they had 1 hit by pitch. To me, Bruce, that's going to be the key. The Blue Jays swing and miss less than any team in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers have a pitching staff that is designed to get swing and miss. Tonight, Blake Snell, let's just say it. He wasn't good enough. He didn't get enough swing and miss. He wasn't in the zone enough. The pitching just wasn't good enough from him, and the Blue Jays took advantage. But to me, that was kind of I look at that. 46 2-strike pitches, and you swing and miss 3 times and watch 1 strike. 4 strikes out of 46. That's just not good enough.
There were some seriously impressive at-bats from the Blue Jays tonight. And I think if anybody wasn't already aware of what this offense is capable of in terms of being a threat and also just being a pest, like Alejandro Kirk had a couple of at-bats against Snell where he was just foul off after foul off, stay alive, live to see another pitch. And that's what this offense is built on. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had a few excellent at-bats too. Like, this is what we have to expect from the Blue Jays through the rest of the series. And when Blake Snell didn't have his finest stuff or command tonight, but he's still a guy that even when he's not at his best, he mows through hitters when he executes his pitches. And he wasn't getting that tonight. If it's a slight tip to stay alive, the Blue Jays are the one team that can really expect that out of themselves. And the Dodgers will have to make some adjustments because, like you said, with those numbers tonight, if the Dodgers continue to run out those kind of swing and miss numbers, it's hard to see things turning around.
Blake, what kind of confidence do you have that between Yamamoto, Glasnow, Ohtani, the next 3 pitchers that they'll see in some order, that the Dodgers will be able to kind of correct this narrative a little bit and go get more swing and miss than they got tonight?
I think they'll get more swing and miss. I'm not sure it'll be like a lot more. This is a very, very good Blue Jays offense. When you don't swing and miss and you combine that with slug, it makes it very difficult for pitchers. And this is what I was mentioning before the series, when a lot of people were kind of down talking the Blue Jays and saying it's going to be easy for the Dodgers type stuff. And there are people in the chat getting mad at me for saying the Blue Jays are good, but like, this is an offense that can beat any pitching staff. I have said it a lot. I am of the belief that offense wins championships in Major League Baseball. So it's concerning. I think Ohtani has the best strikeout stuff in baseball. So you'll expect to see more, and you hope he gets back on track. We know Tyler Glasnow has elite strikeout stuff. I'm not expecting the pitching staff to go out and give up 11 runs each game, of course, but they do need to be better. they need to get more swing and miss. It's just a difficult task versus a very good Blue Jays team.
Yeah. And I would say part of the problem was the lack of control that we saw from Snell. It wasn't just that he wasn't getting swing and miss. It was 3 walks. It was the number of pitches that he had to throw because of it. And so there's other ways to get guys out, of course, than just relying on blowing fastballs by them. Blake Snell just didn't do any of that. He wasn't able to limit hard contact. He wasn't able to limit the walks, which isn't normally his game because he's getting the swing and miss. The problem was he wasn't getting the swing and miss tonight either. So go ahead.
We do. A lot of people are blaming the umpire for like Snell's struggles in this one. I think that's ridiculous. First of all, I think Jeff's not going to like me saying this, but you basically just saw pitch framing in real time, real effect out on display. Alejandro,
they lost 11-4 because of Will Smith's
No,
pitch framing.
I'm not. I'm just saying, like,
you've made a way to make this about Ben Rortvedt. It's impressive.
No, I'm not talking about Ben Rortvedt. I'm talking about the pitches that people are complaining about. That there's a narrative that the Blue Jays were getting all the calls and the Dodgers weren't getting calls. That's the effect of pitch framing. You're seeing Alejandro Kirk is one of the best pitch framers in baseball. Will Smith is the worst pitch framer in baseball. Alejandro Kirk is going to get those borderline calls for his pitchers, and that's just what's happening there. I don't think it's an umpire issue or anything. There's no narrative against the Dodgers out to get them. It's not MLB rigging it. That's just pitch framing in real time. You get to see it live in action, and that's why teams value it so much.
I think the home plate umpire was poor tonight, but I do agree with Blake that there certainly is no setup against the Dodgers and anything like that. I'm hoping to see more consistency. I agree with Blake also that it's probably not going to be 100% consistent this whole series because Kirk is such a better pitch framer than Will Smith, but something closer than what we had tonight, I'm hoping moving forward.
Yeah, they lost 11-4.
Yeah,
I'm not blaming the pitch. I'm not blaming Will Smith for that or anything. I'm just saying on the borderline pitches people complain about when it's an inch off and Will Smith isn't getting the call, but the Blue Jays are getting the call. Like that's what pitch framing is.
Ivan says, not going to lie, the stat about teams that sweep the LCS and then lose the World Series is scaring me right now. Are you more concerned with the pitching or the bats? I think it's obviously the bats that are more concerning just because I believe that Yamamoto, Glasnow, and Ohtani are going to be fine and that Snell, if likely we see him again in the series, barring the Blue Jays sweeping the Dodgers, I think he's going to be better next time as well. So would either of you disagree? Are either of you more concerned about the Dodgers? I mean, I guess if you throw bullpen in there, maybe it gets a little bit more complicated. Bruce, are you more concerned about the pitching as a whole, including the bullpen, or the bats?
I don't like lumping the two together for the starting pitching and the bullpen, and I know that defeats the exercise here, but the starting pitching I'm not concerned about, but when you lump the bullpen in, I'm so concerned about the bullpen that it's close. The offense needs to do better, but it's, for me, a kind of similar thing as, when Ohtani was struggling, then he hit 3 home runs. Like, I don't think that this offense is going to be shut down for 7 games or however long this series goes, but the bullpen, I am in fairly certain territory that this bullpen is awful, and I just don't trust it. And so if the Dodgers starting pitching isn't going to go out and give 7 shutout innings, maybe even 8 shutout innings, I just don't see a roadmap unless the offense gives a really big lead.
Yeah.
Will Klein looked great today. So did Justin Wroblewski. We got our guys there. But my serious answer here is I'm very concerned about the offense. We've been talking about it for months now. They haven't hit it all in this postseason, aside from the Reds, who frankly were not a good team at all. It's been a while since they've just had a game where they've just really dominated on offense, or even had a strong offensive game, I'd say. Sometimes you have 1 or 2 guys carrying the offense, but they haven't just had a complete game in quite some time. So, yeah, that's a real concern for me. I was asked about it before the series, and I said my confidence in them was a 6 because I'm still betting on the superstars that they have to kind of figure things out. But as each game keeps going by and they don't figure things out, it definitely gets a little more concerning each time. And they have to hit. That's all there is to it. They're not going to be able to beat the Blue Jays just with their pitching staff.
Ronald asked, that sucked. I feel like all playoffs, the offense should have a big inning, but only puts up 1 or 2 runs. Lots of missed opportunities today. It did feel like they had some chances, and it did feel like they got to Savage early. They were on the verge of knocking him out of the game, but that's been a constant theme. It feels like if one more guy is able to get a hit, if Max Muncy's able to get a hit, then maybe they get to the bullpen. Instead, Savage comes back out, ends up settling down and getting them a number of more outs. And so The offense, again, like 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. One of those was an infield single from Tommy Edman that didn't score anybody. But, by the time the offense would have had more chances, this game was totally out of reach.
We say that every single game, though. Like, oh, they just left their chances on base. So at some point, like, they have to come through, right? But how often can we keep saying that's going to be the story of the game where eventually they're going to come through? But if they're not doing it, they're not doing it.
Yeah. Aaron says, tough loss. It's still only one game. I believe they can bounce back tomorrow. Splitting on the road is always the goal. To win in 5 or 6, like many predicted, you have to lose some games. 300. Okay, folks, step back from the ledge. Snell was not sharp. Rather lose 11-4 than 5-4 and all the what ifs. That's one approach. I like that. This was less stressful, I'll give you that, than a 5-4 loss would have been. Apes against the machine. If there's a game you can afford to lose for the Dodgers, it's game 1 in a blowout loss. They'll shake this off and keep them honest. Tomorrow, Yamamoto will be lights out. Let's go Dodgers. Love the optimism there. Luis, we should have let the Sewers win one game. Brewers. Okay, got it. Here we go.
It's the narrative about teams that sweep in the NLCS or ALCS have never won after a team goes 7 games in the other one, but like that's a sample size of 4 or something like that, or 5, whatever it is. So I don't think anyone should put any stock into that.
C-Ras, the bases loaded was meant for inning crying, it was meant for Vesia crying face. Obviously, Vesia's got far more important things to be dealing with right now. And so I'm just personally not going to entertain the what ifs in that scenario. The plaintiff asks, as has been true all season long, this team will only go so far as its bullpen allows. Some excellent at-bats by the Blue Jays hitting tonight. I guess they'll only go as far as the bullpen allows. Like, they've made it to the World Series with the bullpen the way that it is. There is a pathway to winning the World Series with a bullpen that performs obviously better than it did tonight, and B, like, not having to rely on the bullpen to get them like 12 to 15 outs every single game, right? Like, Bruce, that's where I come back to. Obviously, the bullpen is not going to put them on their back like they did last year, but they don't need this bullpen to put them on their back to win. If they're up 8-2 and they go and ask for 9 or 12 outs from the bullpen, like, that's what they did against the Reds and they survived.
Yeah, maybe they don't need it, but I do think that this person has a point here of like, if the offense isn't going to be able to put up those 8 runs like we haven't seen them doing, you can't expect the starting pitching that the Dodgers had in the championship series and early in the division series, that you can't expect that every night. And if that's the only pathway to winning, then I think it kind of does fall back to the bullpen of, is this bullpen really as bad as it feels like they are? Or at some point, are they going to figure it out? Because for me, I look at if the starting pitcher's out of there before the 6th inning, Roki is half a stopper, and then there's nobody else that I feel any sort of real confidence in going to. And you can't go to 4 wild cards and expect to get to the end of a game with a close score and still be winning.
Blake Trinan, though, they got 2 stoppers. Blake Trinan and Roki.
Like less than 0 stoppers, negative stopper right there.
the Will Klein disrespect here is insane. Just pointing that out there.
Cool. One fast Q50. I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy. There we go. Bacon Tree says the offense is what will lose us the World Series. Pitching staff is what it is. I don't know what to do with Pages. Joseph, still can't believe the Pages at bat with the bases loaded. Would have been 2-0 with Shohei batting, bases loaded, 1 out. Time for Alex call, ? Blake, where are you at with Pages? Obviously, we're 3+ rounds into this. We know what he brings to the team defensively. The offense, you just keep thinking maybe this is the time that it's going to figure itself out. It just hasn't. It's beyond miserable for him so far. Has it reached a point where you have to make a change? It is all righty, so Alex Call isn't the guy. Is it Haesung Kim that you throw out in left field? Like, they don't have options here with the great Michael Conforto not on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably trust Call over anyone else on the bench that they have who could fill in. Kim isn't an option. They're not playing him in left field in the World Series. It was a disaster in the regular season when they put him out there. He can't play second base because Tommy Edman's ankle is limiting him to second base, and he can't play center field because of it. So they're kind of down to Alex Call if you want to make a change, and I probably would at this point. I mean, even righty-righty matchup for Alex Call is probably better than what Pages is giving you right now, and Pages isn't even like producing bad outs where he's hitting the ball and it's just an out.
Right.
He's swinging and missing at so many bad pitches and just making poor decisions at bat. He looks like he's in his head right now. So yeah, I probably would. I don't have any confidence in him to figure it out going forward for the rest of the year.
Bruce?
This is a tough one for me because I really don't want to take Andy Paz out of there, but it's consistently really bad at bats. So I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion here. If Alex Call was in the lineup tomorrow, I wouldn't hate it, but I also wouldn't really be mad if Paz is back in center field because I just don't think that Alex Call is an option that's good enough. Your defense is getting worse with Kike Hernandez in center field. I don't think that's ideal. And I just, I don't know. I don't think either of those options are very good to be batting ninth.
Yeah, absolutely. Jay asked, Dodgers got punched in the mouth. I wouldn't bet against defending champs not punching back. Guess no sweep this time. Oh, well, Dodgers in 5. Jonathan says, find Pages $10,000 whenever he swings with 3 balls. It feels like he would walk more often than he would strike out. That's for sure.
I don't know if he has enough money to do that. He hasn't hit his arbitration year yet.
Yeah. Sean says Sheehan was put in a bad position, but he is so not good coming out of the bullpen. J-Rod said we waited a week for this, regroup tomorrow. Just out of curiosity, like, do either of you put any stock in the too much time off theory? Bruce, I'll start with you. Like, is that the problem here?
No, I think the problem is Blake Snell wasn't sharp, and then the bullpen is terrible. I don't think that has anything to do. The same with the offense kind of sleepwalking and not taking advantage of all their opportunities that was already happening. I don't think the time off has anything to do with that.
That's kind of ultimately where I stand. I mean, first of all, the Blue Jays had to be off for a few days as well. So it's not like they played yesterday and just were right back in the swing of things. They also went the distance with the Mariners team, were exhausted. I mean, we could have written this narrative either way, right? If the Dodgers come out and win 11-4, it's like, oh my gosh, the time off, look how much it helped. The Blue Jays were exhausted. This was a hangover from Game 7, and we bounce back tomorrow, right? Like, Blake, to me, this just feels like an easy excuse for. Sometimes there isn't an excuse. I guess that's ultimately my thing. Sometimes it's just the simplest answer, which is Blake Snell wasn't good, Emmett Sheehan wasn't good, and Anthony Bonda wasn't good.
Yeah, I don't put any stock into it. The Dodgers were off 6 days. The Blue Jays were off 3 days. So, like, I just don't see a huge difference there for anything. Like you said, if the Dodgers won, we're talking about how the rest helped so much, and the Blue Jays are exhausted after not having as much rest, and it was just a matter of the players didn't play well enough, and the offense has been struggling all postseason. Like I keep saying, it's not like they were playing incredibly well versus the Brewers and then had the 6 games off and came out and struggled. It's more of a continuation of what they've been doing all playoffs.
JF, it's the first to 4 wins. Answer back strong tomorrow, split on the road, and then Snell can get another shot to perform well in Game 5. This is exactly where I am at. Jay Teaser, Jay swing and miss less often than any other team, and they make contact out of the strike zone more than any other team. Hashtag Springer effect. Hashtag if you know, you know. The runner on second, the 9-hitter gets hits. Ours swings at ball 4. Some more Andy Pages love from the chat. Aaron says also on Snell, he was really bad today. Didn't have it all night. If Yama has his stuff and still struggles tomorrow, then I am concerned. I think that's fair. If the Dodgers lose like 3-2 tomorrow or something like that, I think that's where there's some reason to have some doubts about how this series is going to end. Mamad says Blue Jays put the ball in play and don't chase outside the zones. This was a bad matchup for Snell. Dodgers offense needs to lock in and wake up soon. You don't want to go back to LA down 0-2. This is a bad matchup for everybody. Blake Snell just wasn't good. And I mean, I guess to me, Blake, I don't think it's unreasonable to say to the Dodgers starting pitchers, we know how good you've been. It's not reasonable to expect you to be 1 ERA for the entire postseason. We all agree there. However, we can also say that tonight wasn't good enough from Blake Snell, and you're paying him a lot of money to be one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And yes, the Blue Jays don't swing and miss a ton. And yes, they make contact outside the zone. But like literally, this is what the $30 million a year is for Blake Snell, is to go and get outs against teams like this.
Yes, but to his credit, he kept them in the game for most of it up until that 6th inning when you could have argued he should have been out of the game early or whatever. He wasn't good enough. That's as simple as it was. But I don't know. I still keep kind of going back to the offense there where they just didn't take advantage of their opportunities early, and it kind of put them in a hole. And it just made Blake Snell have to be perfect all game instead of just being able to try and pitch to get outs. And I think that probably had some effect to it. So it was just a whole team effort on losing tonight. I don't want to put all the blame on Snell. I don't want to put it all on the offense. I don't want to put it all on the pitching. I don't want to put it all on Dave. Like, it was just everyone made bad decisions or was bad on the field.
I'll put it all in the pitching. 11 runs, it's all in the pitching as far as I'm concerned. I hear what you're saying, but
say the Dodgers cash in their runs earlier in the game and it's 6-2 in the fifth inning there, or the sixth inning. I mean, do you think it's the same outcome where the Blue Jays end up putting up 9 runs in that inning?
I mean, it's just as likely they put up 22 runs. We're just imagining what the future is.
Yes,
they put up 11 runs in the six innings.
The Blue Jays don't back down from a chance to make a comeback. So I hear what you're saying, Blake. It changes everything mentally if the Dodgers take a lead, but ultimately I'm with you, Jeff, that the pitching staff can't allow 11 runs, and Blake Snell didn't have the battle tonight that I'm used to. It's not a matter of I'm still, if the Dodgers, obviously if they can get to Game 5, then I'm still going to feel great handing the ball back to Snell. But tonight was a far cry from the NLCS Game 1 guy that felt like he was in complete control. He had his best stuff. He looked like that he had the confidence on the mound that tonight he looked like there were times that for the first time really that I've ever seen him, he looked a little overwhelmed.
Yeah. D. Frankham reminding us the Blue Jays bullpen is just as capable of giving up 9 runs as well. That's one thing that you can hope for. Dakota says, don't understand why the Dodgers were such heavy favorites entering the series. Still think they'll win it, but it is going to be a battle. If you didn't believe that already, that is definitely the case after the performance they put up against Blake Snell tonight. Jonathan says, exonerating the umps because Kirk is a framer is like NBA, letting NBA refs off the hook because SGA is a good flopper. This is the World Series. Kirk is a known framer. Umps be better. Respect Blake's take, though. I mean, framing's a thing. It's designed to, quote unquote, trick umpires. And so, again, I will just keep coming back. When they score 11 runs, you can't blame these smaller things on anything else. They gave up 11 runs. That's why they lost. Not because of a strike here or a strike there.
I want to clarify. I'm not blaming the 11 runs on Will Smith or his framing. I'm specifically talking about the pitches here and there where people are complaining about the Blue Jays getting the call and the Dodgers not getting the call. That's the effect of framing. Do I think it's the reason that the Blue Jays scored 11 runs? No, I don't. Do I think it's the reason that Blake Snell wasn't good tonight? No, I don't. But it is a factor in all of this. And when we're criticizing the umpires for missing a call here and there, that's part of the reason for it.
Laker Toby, I've told friends all week the Dodgers would win in 5 games, and don't be surprised if they lose Game 1. If they lose Game 2, then I'll start worrying. If they lose Game 2, your Dodgers in 5 prediction, Toby, and mine starts to look really, really bad. So we're going to need Game 2 for our Dodgers in 5 prediction. The plaintiff says, I do think this isn't a game you can put on Dave. This is on the players. I agreed with basically all of Dave's decisions tonight, which, again, I think it's ultimately where all of us landed to some degree. Maybe it's Blake Snell out one batter earlier or later, but at the end of the day, Blake Snell and Emmett Sheehan and Anthony Bonda were the 3 guys, and Bonda less so, but Snell and Sheehan were the reasons that this game got out of hand. Ram Lakers says 32 runs. I guess Bonda did give up the grand slam, didn't he? So Bonda belongs in this conversation. Ram Lakers says 32 runs in the last 9 postseason games, scored over 4 runs twice. The offense has to step up regardless of the pitching against this team. Agreed there. Blake, when you look out at the Blue Jays and the pitching that they have coming down the pike, is there reason to believe in your mind that the Dodgers offense has the ability to get going tomorrow or in Game 3?
I mean, I want to say not tomorrow just because Kevin Gausman is really good too, and it's going to be another tough task for them. But at the same time, knowing how baseball works, that could be the game where they do end up scoring 9 runs. That's the fun of baseball. That's why we watch. It's not played on paper and all that stuff. But I mean, I think they can get back on track, but I feel like I've been saying this so many times throughout the postseason and just throughout the regular season as well. At some point, the superstars have to start hitting, and they're going to. But I have a hard time just keep saying this over and over and over, and it never coming true, and then coming back on here and saying it's going to happen. So I don't know at this point. I'm less confident than I have been. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, they have the talent to do it. It's not a question of that. It's just about whether they end up doing it and start putting better at-bats together.
Shohei Ohtani 1 for 4 with a walk. Obviously a 2-run home run once this game was out of reach. Mookie Betts 1 for 4 with a walk. Freddie Freeman 0 for 3 with a walk. Will Smith 1 for 3 with a walk. Teoscar Hernandez 0 for 3 with a walk. Muncy 1 for 4. Kike 1 for 4. Edman 1 for 3 with a walk. And then, of course, Andy Pages 0 for 4. So 12 base runners for the Dodgers. Nobody with 2 hits. Nobody reached base more than 2 times up and down this lineup. And this was against Trey Yesavage, who, again, they had an opportunity to get to. They had an incredible stat. I believe it was Ken Rosenthal who said this was, and 29 starts this season, Bruce. This was only the 5th time Yesavage has come back on 4 days rest. He will have to do that again if he pitches in game 5. But the Dodgers just couldn't capitalize. The first inning was a walk in the park, but the second inning, it felt like they had a chance. Walk for Will Smith, Max Muncy single, Kike single. It's 1-0. Bases loaded for Pages and Ohtani. Strikeout, ground out, nothing there. Top of the third, walk, single to lead off. Freddie Freeman gets picked off on that weird play between second and third from right field. Teoscar Hernandez grounds the ball. Nice play by Bo Bichette. And then Max Muncy, a strikeout. It was 2-0, which felt like, hey, at least they got 2, because we've seen the Dodgers turn those 2 opportunities into 0 runs before. But other than those 2, other than the second and the third, Bruce, this offense never really threatened again as long as this game was close.
Yeah, and those 2 innings were really the chance to establish what the offense is going to be this series and switch things up. I think Pages had a really rough at bat. Yesavage didn't have his fastball or his splitter at all tonight, and that was after everybody in the pregame, myself included, spent the entire time talking about fastball and splitter for him out of that high slot. It was the slider that he continued to go back to, and the Dodgers continued to chase without much in terms of adjustment. So allowing Yesavage to get through 4 did not have to happen. His pitch count was already high. He didn't have command. So the Dodgers kind of failed there in getting him out a little earlier. And that allowed the Blue Jays to stick around. And then they tied it up on the homer from Varsho. And then the 6th inning happened. So the offense certainly needs to, when they have the chances like they had early on tonight, especially for this game too, where tonight was a chance to play with house money tomorrow. Now you don't have that house money. Tomorrow really, really matters. And tomorrow you need to come out and take advantage of the opportunities that you're given.
Yeah. Real quick, the Freddie Freeman play, again, I think it's like we could name 25 of these minor factors that really played no real role, as far as I'm concerned, in the outcome of the game. Blake, what did you make of that play? It was a weird one with runners on first and second. Will Smith singles to right. I imagine Freddie was just assuming that throw was going to go home because of how hard it was hit. Instead, he basically gets backpicked off of second base, gets into a rundown long enough so Will Smith can advance to second. How did you feel about that decision from Freddie?
I mean, first, when we're talking about like 25 little things that don't affect the game, like they add up over time. So you got to do the little things right to win games. And the Dodgers didn't do that tonight. I mean, that was another example. It wasn't great base running. It's a rare time where we see Freddie making a mistake there. So, I mean, it's not the reason they lost or anything like that, of course, but they just, all around, nothing really went well for the team tonight, and the score shows that.
Bruce, was that defensible at all in your estimation?
No, not at all. He turned over the wrong shoulder when he was rounding second base. He didn't even know where the ball was, and he was just put himself in complete no man's land. Even if that throw went all the way home, he was like not even halfway. If Kirk didn't have a play there, he could have come up throwing a third, and they might have had a chance there. Freddie completely botched that, and Freddie's a great base runner, and this isn't something that I expect to happen again, but that was a complete killer in that inning because it went from 3 straight guys reaching to start the inning with nobody out to all of a sudden a man on second with 1 out. Then Bichette made a great play, and then the Dodgers stranded a man on third. So that really was the turning point in that inning, where it turned from potentially a big rally, having a couple guys on with nobody out and already 1 run in, to then all of a sudden the momentum back with the Blue Jays. They had an out and they had a chance to get out of that without further damage.
Look on the bright side. The Teoscar grounder up the middle probably turns into a double play anyway. So maybe they just spared Teoscar from some hate tonight. What'd you say, Blake?
So what I hear is it sounds like you guys are blaming the offense a little bit more now for this one, and not as much pitching.
I think it's ridiculous that we're even talking about anything other than the fact that they gave up 11 runs. Like, I guess we got an hour to fill. There's lots of other things that happened. But, like, you talking about pitch framing in a game they lost by 1 million.
When people are complaining about the umpire, I'm mentioning about pitch framing to respond to the chat. It's not why they lost or anything, but it's something people are talking about. So there we go. And, yes, I do feel if the offense had 8 runs early in the game, it probably changes some things in this one.
Maybe. Yeah. I just like, I don't think Snell was going to get better if it was 4-0 instead of 2-0. I don't think the bullpen gives them 15 shutout outs otherwise. I mean,
then you're trying to pitch to contact and get quicker outs to be more efficient, and you're not trying to be perfect on every pitch. There's less stress on the pitcher. Like, all these things change, and having an early lead does have a mental effect on the pitchers and the pitch calling and everything that goes into it. The Blue Jays might have been a little more defeated. Like, yeah, I think it all matters, and that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not just putting it on the pitching this game. It was a complete team meltdown.
And talking about the offense in this game, it's not even all the way just about the effect on this game specifically, because the pitching was the worst part of this and the reason they lost. But you're also just talking about the offense. If they missed opportunities tonight and the mistakes that they made tonight, you have to be able to acknowledge those and be able to apply those lessons moving forward without it having to, specifically be just in the way that it affected game one.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward, like, Blake, how has game one, if at all, changed your thoughts about this series, how things are going to play out over the next 7 days?
I mean, I picked Dodgers in 6, so, like, I still have some room here. If they win tomorrow, we're going to feel good heading back to Dodger Stadium. If they don't, we're going to be all panicking. But I would also point out the Blue Jays were down 2-0 in the ALCS heading back to Seattle and still won the series. So, like, they could win. It's not over, but I just really need to see the offense get going. I'll keep saying it until it happens or until they lose the World Series. Like, I'm putting so much on the offense right now because that's how I feel about it. They need to hit. It's not the Brewers where they can win by scoring 2 runs a game. It's not the Phillies. I mean, they need to hit. That's kind of all it comes down to for me right now.
Bruce, has your opinion about this series changed dramatically? Obviously, every one of us, I don't think anybody picked a sweep. So everybody was expecting a loss to come at some point, and it's hard to, evaluate a loss not in the vacuum because it's all we have in front of us. But has your view on this series changed?
Yeah, I wouldn't call the Dodgers favorites anymore. You lose game one, and you have to respond now. The Dodgers aren't going to have this go easily. And for me, the biggest takeaway and concern tonight is I've been continually worried about what's going to happen the one time that one of these ace starters does not go out and pitch like an ace. Will the Dodgers have any chance to still claw through and win that ball game? And tonight, Blake Snell didn't pitch like an ace, and they got clobbered. So tonight reaffirmed that my view that the Dodger bullpen and everybody's view that the Dodger bullpen is awful. And it just continues to worry me that in October, you're going to be playing close games, and you can say the offense needs to score more runs. You can say the pitching, you can hope that your starting pitching is going to continue to be as good as they were. But realistically, looking at the rest of the series, there's going to be close games. And once those close games come, I just don't have any sort of faith, and I keep waiting for the bullpen to give me some, and it continues to just fall flat on its face.
Yeah. If you had to guess, Blake, right now, series odds in this one, what do you think the Dodgers odds to win the World Series are? So plus 100 even money, minus 1 something is Dodgers are favorites.
Can I refer to the Fangraphs odds that they have them at 48.1% now? So basically a coin flip still, which I think is pretty telling about how they view the talent of the team after being down 1-0 in the series. For me personally, I'd probably be at like 40-45%.
Okay, so like a minus 150, or excuse me, plus 150, plus 160 maybe for the Dodgers, plus 120, maybe something lower. Bruce, what would you have?
I like the Fangraphs at 48%. The problem for me with the Vegas lines is they'll still have the Dodgers as favorites, because if they lower the Dodgers down below into the plus range, then everybody would hammer their mortgage and their houses on the Dodgers, and Vegas doesn't want that. So those lines are just set based on how people will bet, and they'll still have the Dodgers as favorites, I'm guessing.
Vegas doesn't want to take people's mortgages and houses?
No, they would love. If everybody bets on the Dodgers and gets great odds on that, then the Dodgers come back, then Vegas loses money.
The Dodgers are minus 120. They are favorites to win the World Series right now, according to DraftKings. So crazy stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I can fully get behind them being the favorites right now.
Yeah, and look, I think Bruce does make a great point. I was giving him a hard time but he's absolutely right. The idea that Vegas odds purely reflect the likelihood of something to happen, I think it is largely and mostly that. But if Vegas's goal is to get basically equal money on both sides of a bet, and so if they know they're going to get more money on the Dodgers side, then they're going to lower those odds and say, if people are going to bet the Dodgers at minus 120, then why are we going to give them plus 100 on those odds, which is basically where they get. But the Blue Jays, crazy enough, 1-0 in this series. They are even money. You could go bet $100 to win $100 on the Blue Jays to win 3 of the next 6 games against the Dodgers, which is pretty crazy stuff. So Luis adds the Dodgers did have a lead. Then Varsho hit the home run. So going back to the conversation of Snell and the pitching staff having a lead at one point, but obviously short-lived and very early in the game. Dakota, why isn't pitch framing considered cheating? Why shouldn't a ball be called a ball? Yes, it's valuable. So is banging on trash cans to tip pitches. It's not cheating. If the umpire is making an incorrect call, I don't consider that cheating. Bruce?
This sentiment is why pitch framing has at times throughout baseball history been considered bush league by old school type of managers. They can hate it sometimes, and there's a lot of old heads if you talk to them now and they see the new style pitch framing of every single pitch finishes right down the middle for the catcher's glove. They hate it. So this sentiment exists, but I think as we've continued to move into the modern game and everybody understands that you need to take every edge that you can, rightfully, that has sort of weeded its way out of the game.
See, Jeff, the people want to talk pitch framing. It's not just me. Even after an 11-4 loss, I'm just following what the people want. But I do think it's not considered cheating also in part because you'd have to essentially prove that the catcher is doing it on purpose every single time, which is probably kind of difficult to do. So
I mean, there's no rule against it. That's why it's not cheating.
Yes, but if they were to make a rule, like what would the rule even say? Like how do you enforce
But I'm just
that?
saying cheating is there is a rule and you are violating the rule. There's no rule.
I mean, baseball is the game of unwritten rules also that people like to make up, like the check swing rules and all that. So like we could make up an unwritten rule for it.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a rule and it wouldn't be cheating. So we move on. And again, some of this is going to get fixed by ABS, not all of it because you only get a certain number of challenges, but that is one thing that Major League Baseball is working to do to not only impact bad umpiring, but also good pitch framing. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's get to some questions, all caps questions. If you've got some of those in the chat, as always, we want to say thanks to the folks on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook who are joining us. Those after the fact, over 3,000 people in here. Unfortunately, after a Dodgers loss, they're down 1-0 in the World Series, but it's a long series, a 7-game series, folks. It is not over. Despite what the numbers will tell you about teams that swept the CS, despite what people will tell you about the record of teams that won Game 1 in the World Series, and they have like a 66% chance of winning, ignore all that. It's a long series. Dodgers still have a very good chance of winning this one. Cole said first Game 1 loss in the playoffs since the Dodgers lost to Arizona in 2023. So that's an interesting stat there.
Surely they didn't get swept in that series.
There you go. Did they? You say that with a smile.
Surely they did get swept.
You say it with a smile on your face.
They, as Matt likes to say, the Diamondbacks made history there.
There you go. Blake and Bruce, why is it hard for Jeff to understand the importance of pitch framing, game calling, and how pitch sequencing works? Please help him understand. Jeff's takes are crazy. Blake was the one that started this, so go ahead, Blake.
I've tried to help Jeff understand. He doesn't want to. Jeff is a Will Smith stan through and through and won't have any disrespect toward Will Smith, who I previously called the catching version of Teoscar.
I have no issues with pitch framing. Blaming pitch framing in an 11-4 game is the insane thing.
I never blamed it.
Does anyone feel like it's 2018 again? Bruce, does it feel like 2018 again?
No. 2018 didn't have Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. The big thing for me is we can look at all the numbers of teams when they lose Game 1 of the World Series, they go on and lose whatever, blah, blah, blah. That go out and win tomorrow, and then you can look at all those same numbers, and they'll all favor the Dodgers as the road team that split the first two. So you can't get bogged down in all the numbers and odds for the rest of the series and historical stuff. Your only goal, go to win tomorrow, and then everything shifts in your favor anyway.
Aaron asks, concern level right now, 1 to 10. I'm a 4. Blake, you said you'd probably be what, a 5.5 based on the numbers we got earlier, the 45% chance.
I think I'm at a 6.
Okay.
Feels
Bruce?
Right.
Probably 5, because I still think the Dodgers are a more talented roster. I'm just the bullpen is hugely concerning, and the offense isn't performing how they should. So I still think the Dodgers should win this series. They're not the favorites anymore, like I already said. But if it's a 48%, the Dodgers have the talent to make that 48% and win. So I'm a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5 for me. I would still be more surprised if the Dodgers lose the World Series than not. But they're obviously down a game. So the playing field has been leveled, as they say. So I think it's going to be a tight series, and I would still pick the Dodgers, but obviously you lose game one, and that's not a good place to start with Blake Snell, because it's not just one game either. The Dodgers had their best starting pitcher on the mound, and couldn't get it done. Obviously, they have good other starting pitchers, but TQT, does this series remind you of Lakers Pistons in 04? Huge heavy favorites getting killed in game one. I hope I'm wrong. That was a huge, again, the Dodgers were heavy favorites in this game. And as Blake has pointed out, like the Blue Jays probably got disrespected. Obviously, the way this offense performed, this was like the magnum opus of this team, of like, this is what they attempt to do, not swing and miss, foul balls off, draw walks, and then eventually have the big swing. That's what they did. So we'll see if it ends up being a Pistons Lakers level upset. JRM, will Andy Pages get at least 2 hits in this series? Blake, over under 1.5 hits for Andy Pages. Which side are you taking?
I mean, I think I have to take the under at this point. I don't see any confidence or anything that suggests he's going to break out anytime soon. He's not swinging at good pitches. So, yeah, just keep throwing him balls and he'll keep swinging at them.
Bruce, over under 1.5 hits for Pages in the World Series.
Easy over for me. 2 hits is not very many. Like one or 2 mistake pitches can get him that, and I think Pages is going to continue to play. So 2 hits is not saying that he's going to have a great rest of the series, but if this, let's say the series goes 6 or 7 games and he is still in there, then I would sure hope that 2 hits come somewhere. And
that could be good for
You're talking about the mistake pitches like he hasn't had those already and fouls them off or misses them and then chases the balls in the dirt after that.
It would be a more considerate line if we said like at least 2.5, maybe 3.5, because I hear the sentiment here, and this is by no means me defending Andy Pages, but it's more just he's a big league hitter, and big league hitters can find 2 hits in 20 at bats.
Yeah. Ederico asks, we know offense needs to show up, but for Yamamoto, what stat line would make us feel the Dodgers travel to back home 1-1, not down 0-2? For Yamamoto, what does he need to do tomorrow in order for the Dodgers to take this back to Los Angeles 1-1? To me, it feels like, I think if they can do better than 6 innings and 2 earned runs, like that's the floor for me. Obviously, I would love much better, but if it's worse than 6 innings, 2 earned runs, I would probably not go into a high degree of confidence tomorrow. Blake, what would you say you need from Yamamoto?
I mean, is it crazy to want like 8 innings of 2 runs or less at this point?
Okay, 8 innings Blake needs. Bruce, what do you got?
Realistically, though, I'd say like 7 innings of 2 runs probably, just because I don't trust anyone in the bullpen really besides Roki. Even that might be a little shaky with the velo dropping each game.
Bruce, what do you need from Yamamoto tomorrow?
I'm right up your alley, Jeff, of 6 innings of 2-run ball is the floor, and then I hope for better. But in terms of what I'm asking for 6 innings of 2-run ball, because that gives the offense a chance to make a cushion, and it gives the bullpen as fighting odds that they can have to, just get 9 outs and hope the offense has put you ahead by then.
Robert says, can't wait for ABS to put doubt on framing. Again, there's only going to be a couple challenges, so it's not going to fix everything, and guys aren't going to change. They're not going to stop framing because ABS exists. They're still going to be rewarded for all those things. Miguel said, did anyone notice Tommy Edman swinging at a ball way up in the strike zone? It hasn't been perfect from Edman. He's had a couple big swings here and there, Bruce, but all in all, he still looks a little compromised offensively.
And the thing that was interesting tonight is Edman went up there as a right-handed batter against Savage, the right-handed pitcher, and that was to eliminate the splitter breaking away from him. He did the same thing last year against Tommy Kahnle and Jeremiah Estrada, both splitter and changeup guys. So it's not the first time he's done it, but I did notice that Edman up there against Savage, I don't know if it's because Savage has so much ride on the fastball. He was up there tomahawking, like fastballs above the zone. It was clear he was looking at the belt and above, and he was ready to go, swing up in trees and try to hit something high. That was clearly the approach.
Juan asks, can you guys tell me one thing to give me confidence for tomorrow or moving forward, I guess? I'll tell you a few things. The Dodgers still have better starting pitching. They still have Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Teoscar Hernandez, and the Blue Jays bullpen just isn't that good. Those are the 3 things that I hang my hat on. Blake?
I mean, the Dodgers are the more talented team on paper. It's the confidence thing for me.
Bruce?
I'll encapsulate the whole thing with one word, and that's star power.
Yeah, there you go. Dong wants to know, Blake, does the Empire strike back tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they steal a win.
Steal a win.
That was a
I'm kidding.
resounding.
I'm kidding. But I mean, it's still, I'm just going to keep saying it. Like, I need to see the offense hit. That's what it comes down to for me.
Mr. Kirk, if both teams play to expectations, don't the Dodgers lose? Why should we be favored? I'm afraid. Please talk me down. No, if the Dodgers play to expectations, this is like a 5 or maybe 6 game series. They haven't been playing to expectations.
That's partially because the Dodgers have like borderline unfair expectations for themselves and from everybody else because of the star power that we're talking about. If the Dodgers play to expectations, the expectation heading into the year was that they were going to break the all-time wins record. That's what we're talking about.
And to be clear, this is like the Blue Jays are a good team. I don't think they're a great team, but I think they're a good team. I just think the Dodgers, what they're capable of is far greater.
I think the Blue Jays are a great team.
I'll throw a very good out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think regarding the expectations, like we had the Blue Jays Today podcast guys come on our show and they both picked the Dodgers to win. Like they're Blue Jays fans and follow the team picking the Dodgers. So I don't think it's like unfair expectations or anything. Like the Dodgers are a better team. The Dodgers have one of the most talented rosters ever. The issue is talent doesn't always win you a World Series. So like it's still anyone's series right now. And the Blue Jays are probably favored a bit now because they're up 1-0.
Yeah, when I say unfair, it's more talking about like the outside expectation is the same as the breaking the win record heading into the year. Like that people, when they look at the Dodger roster, they look at it and they say, oh, I expect this team to sweep. That's why there was so much talk of sweep heading into this series. That's the expectation, not from people like us, but from the general outside world.
Totally. Hanky Panky, how has Freddie been given a pass 1 RBI in 11 games as a cleanup hitter? Ohtani has 11 RBIs and has been crushed by the fans. The Ohtani thing is a separate conversation. I think he wears a lot of it, and he's been bad for most of it. Then he has the incredible game. He hits a 2-run home run in an 11-2 game. Like, I understand the Ohtani stuff, but Blake, I think it's a fair question that Freddie Freeman has been okay, but not to the level that the Dodgers need Freddie Freeman to be.
I mean, Freddie hasn't been very good. That's part of the whole thing with the offense. You need your stars to be stars, and if Freddie and Ohtani don't hit much, the Dodgers aren't going to win much. A lot of Ohtani's RBIs have come in moments where the Dodgers are up by a lot or losing by a lot, so I think that kind of affects the fan narrative of it as well. But yeah, Freddie needs to be better. At the same time, he hasn't had a ton of opportunities because the top of the lineup hasn't been amazing either, so it's kind of been the bottom of the offense carrying a lot of the getting on base and setting things up, and then the top of the offense has been failing a lot, and more often than not, that's been Ohtani in those spots. So it's been a whole team effort from the offense, essentially, outside of like Tommy Edmonds had good games, Kike's been good, and that's kind of it. Teoscar early in the series, in the playoffs, but he's kind of faded off a little bit, so like it just hasn't been good all around.
Yeah. Nicholas Bruce wants to know, what can Yamamoto take from Snell's start into his? How do you think he matches up with Toronto compared to Snell?
I think that you have to look at this and understand tonight the Blue Jays' strengths clearly played even against that high-level starting pitching. They weren't really chasing against Snell. They weren't swinging and missing. So for Yamamoto, I think you have to go into it knowing that you need to live on the corners and you can't be nibbling. Snell had a lot of waste pitches tonight. That was probably the most frustrating thing for me. Like twice he fell behind Bo Bichette 3-0, and that you just can't do that, especially with a guy who's playing his first game in a month. So I think for Yamamoto tomorrow, you need to go in with an understanding that you need to get the ball in the strike zone. Don't expect the Jays to go out there and chase everything. That you need to be throwing competitive pitches all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Alleluia wants to know, would you change the pitching plan from strike them out to induce weak contact, or do you try to do it again with Yamamoto? Blake, to me, this is the interesting thing because I think it gets at the question from tonight's game. Was the problem that the Blue Jays are just that good at not swinging and missing, or was the problem that Blake Snell just wasn't that good tonight? Like, was the issue that the pitches weren't good enough, or this is just how good the Blue Jays are? And obviously the answer is a little bit of both. But my instinct is if Blake Snell pitches better, he's going to get more whiffs than 10 most times he pitches against the Blue Jays. Tonight was just an extreme example in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I mean, if Snell's better, he's going to get more than he did tonight, but I don't think we're going to see like the 10 strikeout games we were seeing against some
Sure.
previous teams. So, like you said, a mix of both, I think, is the fair thing here. I think a lot of times pitchers aren't like going for strikeouts. They're trying to get weak contact and follow the scouting reports that are saying like pitch to their weaknesses. And a lot of times that's either going to lead to strikeouts or weak contact. So you're not necessarily pitching to specifically get either one of those until maybe you're in an 0-2 count or something like that. But it's just the pitching. Blake Snell wasn't good tonight. The pitching wasn't good tonight. And I don't think they're going to change their plan too much moving forward.
Bruce, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Blue Jays are an offense that don't swing and miss very much. They have those strengths, but like you said, Blake Snell was not Blake Snell tonight. So you need to live somewhere in the middle of don't blow up the entire scouting report. The Dodgers know what they need to do, and the pitches just weren't executed. So
yeah,
go back tomorrow. Expect that Yamamoto will look more like the guy that you are thinking that you're running out there, where Snell wasn't the guy you thought you were getting tonight, and just trust the process, because like we've already been saying, the Dodgers have plenty of talent. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is plenty good to get this lineup out, even as you acknowledge that the Blue Jays are a good offense.
Yeah. Let's get one more question in here. Devin asks, should they go with Ohtani if they lose tomorrow? If they're down 2-0 heading back to Los Angeles, Blake, would you go to Ohtani in game 3 and save Glasnow for game 4?
No, because either way, he's going to have to pitch, and I'd rather have Glasnow lined up to start game 7 instead of going complete bullpen game or pitching guys on short rest if it gets to that point. I don't think it changes much outside of who pitches later in the series. So yeah, I don't change anything there.
Bruce, you agree?
Yeah, this is part of where it's easy to get in this headspace where, if the Dodgers did lose tomorrow, then we talk about game 3 as must win. And it would be must win. But I think in the clubhouse and when you go to the table for these strategical things, you have to go at it more impartial, where you're not thinking that, we can't lose this game because if we fall behind 3-0, the series is over. Even if you start Tyler Glasnow in game 4 and start Ohtani game 3, and then you win game 3, then you still need Glasnow to win game 4. Otherwise, you're in the same spot. So you have to go at it with a more impartial view of a complete roadmap and not thinking game to game.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're going to need 4 wins at some point, and how you stack those wins is the key. Obviously, you would like to get them sooner rather than later, but you need 4. That's the key. And if changing up the order gets you 1 sooner and costs you 1 later, then that doesn't do you any good versus 1 a little bit later and another 1 after that. So I'm with you on that. Let's get out of here with this. Let's make some game 2 predictions. We talked about Yamamoto and what we're hoping for and expecting from him in game number 2. Gausman versus Yamamoto, Blake. There's a lot of layers to this. Does the offense get back involved? Does Yamamoto have more effectiveness than Blake Snell did? And can the Dodgers get home field advantage back and come back to Los Angeles tied 1-1? Give me a score prediction for game number 2, Blake.
4-3 Dodgers.
Okay. So no on the offense, yes on Yamamoto, and the bullpen survives.
Yeah, I don't think the Blue Jays are going to have another 11 huge run outburst. I think Yamamoto will be better. He's been a guy who's been up for the pressure throughout his career and has dealt with it in Japan. I still low confidence in the offense right now, so I'm kind of being the optimistic side of things here that the pitching can hold them to 3.
I like that. Optimism looks good on you, Blake. I appreciate that. Bruce, give me a prediction for game 2.
I'm going 5-4. I think that Yamamoto is going to throw 7 innings of 2-run ball, and then we're all going to be clenched all the way up to the end with the bullpen leaving the winning and tying runs on base, but the Dodgers escape with a 5-4 win.
Okay, give me 6-3. A little bit of breathing room. The Dodgers offense, the first 3 innings, I know after that it was non-existent, but it felt like they were getting something. I think they're going to get to Gausman, and I think the Dodgers score 6.
Like, that's where my question keeps coming in. Like, we keep talking about they had the chances every single game, but they never come through. Like, at what point do you need to see them actually come through or not come through before your confidence in them changes?
I mean, you said it. On paper, they're one of the best offenses in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, but it's now been like a month where they just haven't come through with runners in scoring position. So, like, when do you lose confidence if they keep doing this? Like, at what point do you say,
I will not lose
it just won't
confidence
flip
before this season ends? I'll tell you that. Like, a month that they haven't been good is a stretch. It's been 9 games that they haven't been good.
I mean, that's most of October at this point with all the off days and everything. So
Okay, sorry. So the off days, I'm not penalizing them for off days where the offense didn't score. That would be a correct
but that's
assessment.
it's still something we talked about a lot throughout the season as well. It's been kind of a recurring theme that we've mentioned, and I know a lot of it is also related to how many people they get on base. But
yeah,
I just need to see them start to come through in these situations instead of just keep saying like the talent's eventually going to come through, because at some point it actually needs to happen.
I mean, look, this is you and I disagreed vehemently about Mookie Betts, and this was the exact argument you were having. And what happened?
He changed some things and things worked out for him. So
there you go. He turned it around is the answer to that question. OPS of 800 in the second half. So like that, this is why I keep believing. Like we had this conversation with Teoscar Hernandez, you and me. We had this conversation about Freddie Freeman in the postseason last year, you and me. Like these things.
Freddie, very different. He was playing on a completely busted ankle.
And then he won World Series MVP.
Yeah.
So like
there's also been times where it hasn't worked out, like 2022 and 2023. Like they just never turn things around. So like at some point I need to see it.
Yeah. Again, this is the difference. I have reason to believe they're going to do it because it's Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani and Will Smith and Teoscar Hernandez and Max Muncy. And they have done it before. And it's been 9 games where it hasn't worked out. But I'm going to take my chances with those guys at the top of the lineup. Bruce,
I'd be much more concerned if those runners in scoring position opportunities that they keep squandering weren't happening at all. Yeah. It means that they're close, and I understand where you're coming from, Blake. I just want to continue to trust the good players to play like good players, and I don't believe that there's a huge difference between clutch spots and non-clutch spots. And when they keep setting the table for those moments, you just need some of those hits to fall at the right time instead of when there's nobody on base, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Again, we're going to find out between now and November 1st. And the question is not like anything other than can they turn it around before then? Because I think we all agree that if the offense is performing the way that they performed tonight, they're probably not going to win the World Series. They're going to need to be better than they were tonight. The question is whether or not they can. JY came with the super chat. I think losing game 1 will be good for the team. The Dodgers won't break. This loss will motivate them. They'll come back stronger. We will see. And that is the truth. We will see. That is Blake Williams. That is Bruce Kuntz. I am Jeff Spiegel, folks. We will be back live tomorrow night post-game doing another one of these. Blake, no any content. Obviously, we've got post-game content. Matt is covering the game from Toronto. We've got a beat reporter there. So go ahead and stay on the YouTube page. But we're not doing an unplugged tomorrow, right?
I think we might. I don't know. I'll have to talk to Scott about it. Or some kind of show, maybe pregame. We'll see if we can figure something out.
Okay, stay tuned right here. Subscribe is the key thing. Dodger Blue 1958 on YouTube. Again, we've got a credentialed reporter at the stadium, so we've got all the post-game content that's going to be right here. If you haven't downloaded the Dodger Blue app, go ahead and check that out because the Dodger Blue app has everything, DodgerBlue.com, the post-game recap, news and notes, all of that information. Dodger Blue 1958 on social media as well. Dodgers lose game 1 of the World Series, but there are still 6 games to go, folks. It is a long series. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers, and yes, still champs.